Yeah, alright, cool. Look at that. We got ourselves a vampire. Also, you know what I want to do? Hold on. Bear with me, beloved viewers. Let's be a little indulgent, shall we? Just get that for a little bit, huh? Yeah, I like it. You'd hope so, right? It's my hair, I should like it. It's just hard to keep out in the winter. In the winter? No, hard to keep out in summer because it's so warm. It's thick and insulated. That's what fur is for. Mostly. Ignore the lime green cordial. It's just that kind of day. I was out shopping at Costco earlier today. I have nothing else interesting to say about the trip, except I'd love an opportunity and an excuse to get a hot dog. It's been fantastic. Just been thinking about Pillars of Eternity. I was so cool and so wonderful to finish it on Monday night. Go through the whole story and finish it together. Then I finally saw Everything Everywhere All at Once last night. I don't know why they keep making movies like we won. We made the best movie. That's all we need. Holy shit, that didn't take long. Fuck, it's just too warm. That didn't take long at all. This is the downside of summer, that's for sure. Alright, one sec. Alright, problem solved. Well, question answered. Ooh, and such a good question too. Do I want bread? Like most of the time, yes. I want many more things that I can have, that I can reasonably request, that I can reasonably maintain, that is good for me. That's a decent question. Do I want thing? Of course, I love thing. What thing? Who cares? Am I allowed to eat thing? Ah, different question. Important question. Much larger question that must be examined from multiple angles. What does all this mean? Here's a delaying question to ask when you've got nothing else on your mind, at least for me. I'm excited to finish Shadows of New York tonight. I'm pretty sure this will be the last one. I did a brief look at the achievements window, and there are 3 that we haven't got. Bad end, good end, hidden. Not just because there was 4 and one of them was die. I'm like, oh, I wonder how I can do that. I get it, yeah. So I went through and played the introduction again on very high speed and refused to shoot the La Sombra, my sire. And she's like, oh, well, you die then. She kills you. And that's, I think, some necessary context too, right? That's supposed to be what La Sombra are kind of like. They make your... As part of their ritual of embrace, they make your life as bad as possible and ruin it as deeply as possible. And then try and see if you survive. Survive, right? In what aspect are you going to continue living? And they push that character, Julia, to the brick, right? And she was like, fuck it, alright, I'll murder him. And that was enough to earn the unlife, the embrace. Gotta be a jerk to be a La Sombra. And they make it clear, you know. It's pretty clear that this whole thing's a setup so far, right? The whole council, the whole Primogen Council were in the same room when the dude died. And now they're asking Julie to investigate. Something's going on. So there's a death ending if you refuse or fail to become a vampire. And then there's a good and a bad. I wonder what they look like. A lot of the choices so far have definitely seemed to be like, be a jerk or be vicious. Or not. And we definitely chose be vicious when it came to Victor? No. That La Sombra jerk. No, that Nosferatu jerk. The achievement's interesting. Here. Just turn on the screen capture for you. Scream bloody murder. Yeah. Yeah, you can see we did that last week, and then the next day I was like, I wonder if I can... Yeah, dead end. I'm pretty excited. Good, bad, hidden. Let's jump right into it, friends. I would love to chat more with the crowd, but it looks like it's just you and me here tonight. So let's get on with it. Julia. Day 9. We don't talk about salvation anymore. We're just minimizing the impact of damnation. There's no way to live, but then again, maybe that's why they call it unlife. Shit, it's Benoit. Hey, Benoit! Hello there, lost sheep. I'll have you know the shepherd was extraordinarily patient in waiting for you. What are you doing here while the night is so young? Out for blood? Well, you're in luck. This place offers both the body and blood. If missionaries learned their methods from pickup artists, they would all be like this guy. I'm not in the mood, you sorry-ass bum. Step the fuck away from me, you're gonna be sorry. Oh my, something troubling you? If so, I can arrange a confession. Or, if you're in a hurry, keep in mind, the path from inner turmoil begins with a friendly ear, and I've got one right here. Kerwe Jabana Turja. You want me to fuck you up, don't you? Don't you? Julia, as you should know by now, I always interpret this kind of response to preaching the divine as the devil stirring inside. Is that what it is, Julia? The liar and the father of lies got a hold on your soul? If so, give me a signal, even the smallest one. I'll do my best to spot it. Something swells up inside my chest. I recognize the feeling. The handbrake just broke, and I'm definitely not on level ground. Fuck, here we go. Listen, I've had enough, alright? Enough. Enough of your sanctimonious attitude, enough of your brazen lack of basic empathy, enough of your dumb, ugly fucking mug. You're a fucking singularity of stupidity, tastelessness, and cringe. I've met all sorts of horrible shitheads and arseheads this week, and somehow none of them have got under my skin the way you do, you motherfucker. Just like a goddamn Jehovah's Witness going from door to door, except you're always knocking on my fucking skull going, hey, do you know God exists? Have you heard that God exists? Like, hold on. Hold it right there. When did I ever say that God exists? What? I said, what makes you think I believe God exists? Oh no, you're just fucking with me. No, I'm serious. Well, this sounds serious at least. I'm actually speechless. I think there's been some sort of silly misunderstanding that desperately needs to be cleared up. I'm all ears. I sure hope so, Julia. I feel like you must have ignored half of what I'm saying for you to reach these conclusions. That's very well possible, actually. It usually takes 15 seconds of him talking to get me completely zoned out. So to avoid any further mix-ups, I will go back to the beginning and explain the core of my religious beliefs, okay? So, I remembered his French, so I can do a slightly pan-European accent. I love the Catholic imagery. I cherish the tradition and law. I adore the practices, the intricacies of the theology, the messages contained in the Bible. Of course I do. Does that mean I believe that one day I will see the big dad in the sky? Forgive me, Lord, but I don't think so. It doesn't sound very likely, especially for a bloodthirsty creature of the night. So that's what this is about? Fun imagery? That's overly simplified, but yes, I suppose you could say that. Motherfucker, you ain't Catholic, you're just a weirdo cosplayer. Says a non-practitioner who still wears a cross. Yeah, but I don't shove it down people's throats for fun in my spare time. I'm simply trying to share the joys religion has brought to my own life with others. What joys? Oh, where to start when there are so many? The joy of having plainly understandable rules to follow, the joy of having a structure to your life, the joy of always knowing where to find people who share your values. Above all, it's the joys of being an aristocracy, surrounding oneself with exquisite, luxurious architecture, beautiful classical music, ornate rituals formalizing our actions and relationships. Pursuit of virtue separating you from the masses, the hierarchies, the communities, all serving an idea greater than themselves. It's like monarchy or some Camarilla traditions, but not as gauche. So that's what it was. You saw pretty paintings and buildings and thought, hell yeah, I want in. And then you decided what they mean to you. Oh, don't get me wrong, it's real faith that brought me to the fold, but eventually I whittled down this religion to its core, to what interests me. Unbelievable. But don't think for a second I wasn't empathetic when I was trying to convert you. You are the embodiment of existential despair surrounding us. The one that people usually try to drown out with drugs, sex, work, Netflix, pick your poison, all of them temporary copes. Empty yourself, kill your ego, get a routine, join a community, ground your morality in something tangible, start perceiving yourself as part of something greater. All of it good advice by itself, but codified in an appealing otherworldly aesthetic, one that keeps the beast at bay. When you're almost fitting into the way you are. What's there to hate? Unbelievable. You're a goddamn lunatic. He looks to the sky. Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. Stop that. Your entire ideology is just aesthetics, you fucking loon. And how exactly do I differ from anyone else nowadays in this regard? Stop arguing semantics. No, you stop. Just look at yourself. A privileged burnout who refuses to invest herself in anything. Only started committing to anything when, for once in your own life, you're forced into a politically charged, dangerous task. Once it's all over, you'll be back to being an aimless brat. Desire to murder increases. Ever since World War II, I've been watching every person and every ideal I cared about wither and disappear. That's the source of my pain. That's the reason I am what I am. The source of your pain, a thing that defines you? People have been mean to you. Fuck off. People in third world countries keep their heads high while suffering every sort of horror, but you have a complete mental breakdown every time you remember you have mummy issues. Wow, classy. Oh, don't act like you have the high ground here, you oblivious sadist. You oblivious sadist. All I'm saying is, everyone has a different framework, a different lens to view their suffering through. Yes, and if there's one thing abandoning your humanity should have shown you, it's that kind frameworks are not enough. Petty vendettas, childish romances, pointless power struggles, the dumb gamble that's chasing a successful career, mummy and daddy issues, sure, why not? Pain and pleasure dictate everything. Everyone wants something bigger than this. They want to escape from this drudgery. They want psychedelia, but permanent. They want to stare at God's face, even if he does not exist. And you can show them how, accept the cross you've been wearing into your heart, Julia. Accept it. Creepy fucker. Just accept it. All right, that will be enough, Benoit. The mood changes in an instant. The sight of Father Leonard takes us both aback. Father, what are you doing here so early? You two are arguing so loudly. I had to come out and check. Even if with all the panic on the TV these days, simply walking outside does feel like marching into a war zone. No, wrong accent for the father. Yes, yeah, I'm sorry. You should be. I was willing to turn a blind eye to your quirks because I believe you have your heart in the right place mostly, but I've been very disappointed in the way you approach folks in need. Right now, Benoit Segal is displaying all the confidence of a scolded teacher's favorite. But I was just trying to guide her, to set her on the right path. I know, Benoit, I know. That's the problem. The sacristy is open. Please head there right now. We need to have a long talk. Get me some coffee if you wish. But Benoit, he slowly slinks away, looking defeated, deflated, debased. I burn the moment into my retinas, etch it on my soul, kind of hoping I'll never have to see him again, and this is how I'll remember him. Father Leonard watches him closely until he disappears from sight, then turns to me. I feel sorry for him. I keep hoping he might find some basic empathy through faith, but all I've done thus far is let him leave you at the end of your tether. Yeah, that's some faith he has. You okay with all the bullshit he's spouting? Oh, I don't exactly support it, but I don't reject it. It's like attrition and contrition, imperfect and perfect repentance, you know. One is focused on a relationship with God, the other selfish and focused on personal gain. But both of them work. Yeah, but doesn't this strike you as completely missing the point? A bit. But purely secular takes on Christ's teaching are nothing new. Pascal's wager is a boring example, but have you, by chance, read Bulgakov's The Master and Margarita? Sure, back in Poland, every teen trying to look intellectual online loved to repeat that joke about the talking cat who swears he'd never pour vodka for a lady because women don't deserve pure alcohol. That's one takeaway from that novel, I suppose. Yeah, but it is a moving depiction of Christ, who's not a divine being. Stripped of mythic qualities but open for transcendence. Jesus and Satan, they understood as powerful forces battling within us. Would have to read it again, it's been too long. Sounds nice, though. I stretch lazily and take out another smoke. Leonard watches me closely before speaking up again. Julia. 4 hours from now, there's going to be a meeting in Elysium. The big finale of Celebrations of Power. Everyone will be there, but they were counting on you to not show up. The good sheriff plans to present the results of the investigation in your stead. It's a simple, crude strategy. Might work, but begs to be countered with an outrageous tactic. Take it as you will. The game is about to end. Momentarily, I'm left unfounded. All I can muster is an eloquent... Eh? Oh, don't ask me. I'm just the messenger. Who relayed this message to you, then? A good friend? Cautious friend? Wouldn't be able to tell you more than that, even if you forced me to. Well, shit. This is the moment that might decide the rest of my days. What would you do in my place, Father? When I was faced with a dilemma that would shape the rest of my life, the world felt too big and scary and impossible to understand, so I simply escaped from that choice into the seminary. Yeah, if that's your idea of good advice, I'm going to have to ask you to shove it. I would expect nothing less. Don't you regret it? Regret what? You're kind of shady, but you don't seem like a bad guy. Still, you have to accept the people above you are responsible for some horrible things. If our superiors' acts count as their own sins, then on the face of it, probably half the people in this world are irredeemable. Clever, but not a real answer, and being a low-level grunt for assholes you find wholly objectionable is no way to live. I don't know. Is it? I finish the smoke in silence. I have to go. Don't know if and when we'll see each other again, but when that happens, I probably won't be the same old me. Of course. But before I leave to scold Benoit, let me say one more thing. Yeah? These are difficult times. My parishioners keep calling me. The things people are going through they may never admit, but if this keeps up, it will cause horrifying, invisible damage to this nation. The world! Actually, COVID dealt damage to the fucking world. Oh, Jesus Christ. How appropriate a line. The dreadful darkness is killing us all, little by little, and like every powerful evil, it manifests itself little by little. And yet, sinful as it may be, I confess to being strangely excited. For a moment, we're seeing the suffocating normal disappear. Is this a time to dream a new world is possible? Walk these empty streets, Julia. Remember how the city feels right now, bask in its shadows and uncertainties. After the apocalypse comes a great rebirth. Dimitri Noctis await your next report with great curiosity. I give him a nod and I sprint away. Now I know what I must do. Hey, Moon, my lone constant companion. When I moved here for good from, the old country, you were the close friend who kept me company. Never felt in the right place back there. Never felt in the right place here. Especially now when I'm not quite alive, not quite dead. Not that Slavic, not that American. Maybe it's about time I finally carve out some space for myself. It's been a long road, hasn't it? Wish me luck. I catch him in front of the art hall, because of course he had to be the first person I met there. No way. No. I'm going to be the laughingstock of the entire city if I don't show up to the resolution of my own investigation. How about you demonstrate a modicum of courtesy? Courtesy, girl, I should put you on trial. I can't guarantee I eventually won't. You've messed with the Kaiser. Hey, that's the Nosferatu fuck I couldn't remember the name of. The eminence grise of this city. Beaten him to a pulp like a random goon. He will do everything he can to destroy you from now on. And my bet is he'll succeed. Whatever will be, will be. For now, at the very least, I'd like to show the court I'm not a baby fledgling who can't see a task she was given to the end. You're making a huge mistake. How did you even learn this meeting is happening in the first place? Maybe I'm not as trash an investigator as you thought I was. I never said, but you're showing it. It's not a fair assessment. I wanted to finish this whole mess myself for your own good. It would be nice if you asked what I think next time. I'm actually pissed off he tried to pull this off without me, but I'm not letting it show, counting on being able to guilt trip him into submission. His deep sigh of resignation proves that my tactic was successful. Fine, but you will stay quiet. The whole time. No tricks, ifs, or buts. But of course. This way. We step into the maw of the gallery. The celebrations of power are almost over. Everyone is back to their usual respective stars again, looking weary of each other's company, trapped in their own little worlds. The art hall is nearly empty now. Kadir is gently strong-arming the last remaining nobodies into leaving the premises. Eventually, only me and a select few New York Camarilla VIPs remain. Ah, Miss Sawinski. Barely made it, huh? The asshole with the glued-on smile spots me first, and he's just as authentically enthused to see me as ever. So he finally showed his face around here. I wasn't sure if you'd join us tonight. Kadir made this meeting sound like a one-man show. The preparations took me a bit longer than I thought they would. I apologize. Are you by chance planning to surprise us with something? Well, if I was planning something, it wouldn't be surprised if I told you now, would it? Can I have everyone's attention, please? We're about to begin. Everyone remaining in the building gathers around Kadir. Ah, exciting. Is everyone present? Present. And accounted for. My prince? Yes. Before we begin, let me welcome an unusual guest to our fold. She gestures toward a corner from behind which emerges a silhouette that would have never, ever appeared here under normal circumstances. Talk. Name's Talk. I'm a Baron of the Bronx. I was delegated here by my compatriots as an oversight authority. I'm here to observe the results of the investigation. Nothing more, nothing less. Let me stress this one last time. This is a one-time occurrence meant to alleviate the tensions in the city, not a symbol of mutual recognition, not in the slightest. I peek at Addison's face to get a feel for how a hardline loyalist might grapple with this arrangement. His expression betrays no surprise, only a slight discomfort. If even he is fine with it, the prince must have been extremely convincing about the necessity of a temporary truce, or about some Machiavellian tactics she's got ready up her sleeve, who knows. Of course, we might have irreconcilable differences, but there are times they may have to temporarily put aside in order to quell unrest and open paths for constructive, meaningful change. If anyone would like to voice their concerns, the time is now. Talk, Arturo, and Panhard exchange glances. Normally I'd consider it an innocent gesture. Knowing what I know, I roll my eyes. A stick or a carrot, Talk? What made you break and sell your compatriots? How much do you really know? If not, Kadir? May I? He steps into the middle of the room and clears his throat theatrically. First, let me plainly state the conclusion I am going to present is by no means my own achievement. It is the result of a tireless investigation conducted by a talented kindred I won't name here. Telling Glance and Talk's direction served as a succinct explanation for why he refuses to call them by their names. And of course, Julia Sawinski, whose ceaseless groundwork over the past few months served as a foundation for the findings that are about to be revealed here. Thank you, Julia. It's not the first time he sets out to oversell my achievements. As the sheriff, my role here is mostly representative. I spent the last few days overseeing the celebrations in Elysium, making sure no harm would befall anyone present. Luckily, none did. Looks like the prince's decision to move forward with the event was the correct one. And for that, we should extend our thanks to Kadir and let us not overlook our guest to a degree. I managed to convince my key allies that diplomatic action is the only way forward in this case. No matter how wrong-headed the community can be, we still need avenues to negotiate and communicate. Curious how Tamika would react to him looking like a corporate bastard designing the future order, dismissing potential for change that lies in unrest. No wonder she dumped him. Please excuse the dog. Spare us the empty pleasantries and let Kadir move on. I don't have all night for this. Right, I'll be concise. Douglas Boss Callahan's remains were found in his office by one of his ghouls first thing in the evening. The first kindred to confirm it was another Anarch Baron, Talk, present here. A mystery book author would refer to the circumstances of Callahan's death as a classic locked room mystery. A metal door locked from the inside served as the sole way in. There was no murder weapon, no useful testimonies, and the evidence was, how do I put it, barely circumstantial at best. What was left for us was one hell of a puzzle, one where the answer couldn't even be approached using the tried and tested question. Keep on. It's beautiful art. You're presented with a poorly timed power upheaval, a tense situation where a long-planned celebration was in danger. Suddenly all of us were faced with an uncertain future. Everybody benefited, yet nobody did. No one was especially fond of Callahan, but it's not like anyone seemed particularly keen on removing him from the equation, especially at this time. For a moment, we were sure this was the beginning of an offensive on the part of the Camarilla. We started wondering just how violent our retaliation should be. And as for us, we were momentarily convinced that the Anarchs were plotting to blame us for their own internal power struggles, a tense situation resolved only thanks to skillful wit and swift diplomacy. Dare I say, yet another victory for our talented prince? Julia made sure to examine all contacts Callahan might have had in his last days in both sects. Her efforts were tireless, and only rarely misguided. He just had to spit out one last biting remark, didn't he? Ah, well, he's probably just covering his ass. But as exhaustive as they might have been, they only served to muddle the possibilities, not to explain them. Callahan had a lot of enemies, but they were most infuriating kind of enemies one can have, folks who barely thought of him anymore. In other words, no one really had a particular interest in getting rid of him, because they could always simply work their way around him. Just before last Christmas, he even witnessed the first ever successful First Light raid against these extremely profitable blood trade supply lines. A lone ace up his sleeves, a downright shady ability to perfectly maneuver around all SI activities gone. Callahan's decline was apparent to all, and a domino effect made his empire slowly crumble. Up until recently, he's done an admirable job keeping up with the times and getting away with murder, but suddenly all of the prison spotlights were on him. The recent stories we hear about him all depict a depressed, downright manic recluse, lashing out at everyone, struggling and utterly failing to fit into the new reality he found himself in. A closed room, no evidence of a struggle, a lack of strong why done it, the corpse being found in the very early evening hours. The conclusion is simple. Callahan's final death was self-inflicted. Suicide, to put it in simple terms. Huh. Silence has filled the room. So, wow. That really is the angle they'll be pushing, isn't it? Let's hear it, Sheriff. I will explain. It was an independent detective who first set me onto this theory, only last night. There was no suicide note of any kind, of course, but the message our recently departed had sent might not have necessarily been a verbal one. The peculiar thing was the position of the body. It was like an arrow pointing at us to notice something. It appears the last thing Callahan saw in his unlife was a portrait of Lord Castlereagh, as the second Marquess of Londonderry, which is coincidentally where Callahan was born. To most, he was a reviled traitor, a heartless supporter of all dissent, a suppressor of all dissent, the main threat against his rebellion the Irish had gone through, successful in all ways but those that mattered to his people. Some call him a tragic figure, holding together selfish allies against a common threat, always fighting for painful and unpopular compromises, ruined by overwork, sickness, and poor public speaking skills. Not hard to see why Douglas Callahan would empathize. Polite snickers. Indeed, especially when you realize that the sickness in his blood, his failures, the hatred from his own people, and a growing paranoia led him to commit a dramatic suicide within his own four walls. Ah, I see. The assumption is, instead of stabbing himself to death with a knife or pen, he decided to let the sun embrace him in its warmth. Castlereagh's face burning into his eyes. A poetic final death. It's not a closure we might have wanted, but probably the best explanation of his motivation that we're going to get. Does everyone follow? A heavy silence fills the room. Nobody speaks up, except Prince Panhard. To me, it's all perfectly understandable, agreeable, and most importantly, it fits the man I've come to understand over the last 2 decades. Consentient murmurs resonate through the room. Agreed. And I might add, there were some irregularities in the handling of the crime scene, but the Anarch leader's findings suggested Callahan's resentful ghouls were to blame. Folks have been real happy to see him dead, is all I'm saying, and they went overboard with celebrations. They've all been interrogated, though. Yes, I've received all the resulting intel, and it's done nothing to change my mind. The depictions of Callahan's state of mind only serve to support the suicide theory. It was my suggestion that we all announce these findings to our respective communities first thing tomorrow night. Sounds reasonable, and I think that concludes this meeting. I'll let the Keeper of the Elysium do the honors. No time wasted, huh? All right. Does anyone have anything to add? Any questions to ask? Take your time. Silence. I look at everyone just sitting it out in perfect agreement. Congrats, everyone. Congrats us. We've achieved a perfect victory. No loose ends, no rocking the boat, no nothing. Makes you want to puke. How many of them contributed to this final report? How strongly does Kadir believe the shit running from his mouth? He's always been a Camarilla loyalist, a fanatic even, but... Miss Julia? Any final statements? This is it. Now or never. If anyone can blow this pathetic charade wide open, it's me. There's no coming back from this road, and it has a cost. I spent all my life and unlife on social climbing, and the sunken cost fallacy is kicking in. Challenging them here might be my only way of ever making it out of the pit I'm in. On the other hand, maybe this is time to head into the unknown, kill my ego, at least temporarily, shut up the voice of the elders screaming in my head, betray my La Sombra instincts. Make all these ghosts go away and figure out something new, no matter how scary it might be. Do I dare? Or maybe I don't. I feel like there's an incredible prize to be won waiting right in front of me if I just dare to take out this revolver with its single bullet I have hidden on me and invite everyone here for a crazy game of Russian roulette. But I also get this foreboding gangster movie feeling like this is a scene where the future mobster could have gotten out, but he didn't. In the end, did Callahan think all of the splendor of the golden era was worth this pathetic end? It's like there are two selves battling for dominance inside me. One of them has to die. The other gets to live. Honestly, it's a flip of the coin. I reflect on all the kindred I've met, lessons I've learned, choices I've made over these past few nights to make a decision. And I'm feeling like I'm simply following the way I conducted this investigation to its logical conclusion. I respond. No, nothing. Kadir has done an excellent job of summing up the entire case. The barely detectable tension in the air disappears. This is the first time they might have had to reckon with something I've said, but luckily for them, turns out they won't. Well, looks like that's all, folks. Yes, looks like it. Excellent. Might I be going now then? Places to be, kindred to see? Took the words right out of my mouth. You could see it in some of their faces. Everyone is happy. Samira, will you escort Mr. Talk out? Me and Thomas will have to appease Mr. Payne for disrupting the sanctity of the Elysium. Certainly. Right this way. Tomorrow night, we're back to being enemies, of course. Of course. Isn't that just what you wanted to hear, Addison? Oh, spare me the condescension, Helene. During the commotion, I'm approached by Kadir. He looks me in the eye and makes a show of exhaling deeply. I have to go and see everyone back to safety now, but... Thank you for not pulling any stupid tricks. I really appreciate it. Who do you think I am? Someone else. I apologize for that. Sometimes you just see something and completely misinterpret it. We'll think about how to handle the future, particularly the Kaiser issue, tomorrow. All right? If I'm even here tomorrow. He pats me in the back with a short, awkward smile. See you then. Everyone slowly scatters, but I just sit there, keeping eye contact with the only person here I still have some unfinished business with. The art hall should have closed its doors now, but nobody considers it weird that I'm staying. After all, the only person that is still accompanying me is the keeper of the Elysium. Aren't they a happy bunch? All's well that ends well. People are getting nervous like you really had some good cards to play. You're a poker player? Occasionally, it's a very socialite thing to do. Played with Jennifer Tilly once. Must be easy to keep a poker face with, you know. I know, it does help. You do seem to know a lot about the cards other people are holding. Like all great games, poker does share some principles, lessons, and necessary skill sets with real life. Take out another smoke. This conversation is bringing the tension back, like two fences carefully looking for a hole in each other's defense. Found a file about you in Kaiser's car. Seems like he's worried about you, the only unpredictable variable in his equations. Huh. See, that's the one card I didn't predict you drawing. Speaking of not predicting something, when I was waking up tonight, I didn't expect a good friend would provoke me into coming here. Who might that have been? Not a lot of people in this room have the inclination to act friendly towards me in any way whatsoever. Sure looks like someone made a risky play. Even great players make dangerous plays sometimes. You know why? No idea. Boredom. It's boredom that gets you. Even when you love the game, there's always this fear that it might turn into a perfectly predictable sense of optimal plays. Time to make a play that might not seem optimal at the moment then. A direct attack. You're not really Catherine Weiss, are you? I don't know who else I could be. Let me phrase it differently then. You're not Ekaterina the Wise, the agitator of Prague, a Bruhai elder causing turbulences all over the world. Are you? She laughs. That file must have been pretty thorough. Kaiser knows what he's doing. That's why I'm afraid of what he might do to me to get revenge. Rightfully so. Maybe I'll help him out in exchange for a favor. Snuff out a La Sombra medalist. Strike a partnership. Promise to keep each other in check. That was a joke. It wasn't very funny. And just so you know, I've made precautions. It was a bluff. Honestly, I expected more of a reaction. Kaiser's documents. Did they mention anything about Ostrava? They say it's where you were born, as Hanna Urbanova. Was unlucky enough to immigrate to New York City at a perfect age, with a pretty accent approximating that of Ekaterina. Honestly, explains a lot. Kadir told me that Aisling once organized a blood hunt after Catherine Ekaterina. She was both a liability and too intertwined with the city's history to give up on her. This solution, you, were deemed the best possible compromise by all the parties involved. The particulars aren't really described. It is theorized that blood magic was used. Maybe flesh crafting. I do remember a few images. Her accomplices' embrace. Christoph, the man who caught me, apologizing that the others broke my jaw as if he wasn't to blame. Violent brainwashing. But what's done is done. I might not be a Katerina the Wise, but I'm definitely Catherine Weiss now. I feel as good about the situation as I probably can. She's the brooding Batman, and you're the fun-loving Bruce Wayne. Zoran Diego de la Vega? Something like that. A debutante who sleeps a lot and parties a lot, only has to do something unpleasant from time to time. Do you hate her? Sometimes. But I mostly pity her. I've come to accept my fate, and I don't even feel much trauma when I see her jaw in the mirror, the way she does. Some pig broke hers centuries ago, and she still relives the assault every time she captures a glimpse of her own face. All that power, all that reach, all the appearances. Still not enough. Don't get me wrong, but is there a point to all these questions? Oh. Yes. Yes, Emma, I think so. Oh. There definitely is. I should note that that wasn't made clear when we were in Kaiser's car. I think it was reading your father made me ultimately decide against turning this investigation upside down. Was it now? An immigrant from Eastern Europe comes to New York City, takes a position she always expected to find herself in, is molded into someone who is no longer herself. The story struck a chord. I feel like you were maybe ever so slightly pushing me to follow your way, to lose myself in a position of considerable power. I could see Julia Sawinski sharing Hanna Urbanova's fate, and to be honest, it scared the shit out of me. Catherine shakes her head. Funny. Ostrava is just 15 kilometers away from Poland's border. I know. I think I've been there once when I was a kid. Parents love to travel. Who doesn't? She takes my smoke, turns back, takes a deep drag, and returns it to me. All these long-established organizations, with time, their practices always degenerate, start draining everything out of the participants, and turn into a cycle of abuse aimed at no one in particular. Whew. Does that sound familiar? It should. The funny thing is, if the victims aren't allowed into positions where they feel like they can, where they can perpetuate the abuse, they feel the abuse is aimed specifically at them. There's no winning move here. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I think. You're making excuses for yourself? She desperately tries to stop it, but she laughs. Sounds a bit like a harpy screaming, but it's strangely endearing. Take a drag of the cigarette she took from me earlier. My inner grade schooler excitedly informs me it's an indirect kiss. Let's walk outside. We need to close up shop. Dawn is almost here. We still need to talk about how to get you out of Kaiser's grasp. I nod and follow her to the street. So I hear you've been living with a human. Her name is now Hannah. Oh, hello, Lolly. No. I'm afraid... Doge Hype? Good name, but I'm afraid you are in fact a spammer. Oh. Yeah, it didn't work out. Oh. Why is that? I don't know how to do this. Do I dare to call it sisterly bond came to happen? And I know it can't last beyond tonight, but I'm savoring every second. She's been, turns out she's been single white femaling me. I don't follow. I'd come home, I find her wearing my clothes, smoking my cigarettes, pretending to be me. The creepiest thing in the world. So you find her pretending to be someone else's the creepiest thing in the world. I see how it is. Oh, piss off. That's a low blow. Why would she do that? No idea. I just yelled at her and saw her running out. She's probably back home now, I hope. No, I don't. I don't know. I know it looks bad, but maybe you should just, ask her why she did it. And then make an informed decision. What are you talking about? That would be reasonable. I don't do that. She loosed herself in thought for a moment, visibly torn whether or not to tell me something. This might just be Katerina speaking, but I was thinking about you two in Carthage. Everyone is arguing with her about that name. Some people claim it has too much historical baggage. It's a myth. It didn't work. It was still vampires, taking advantage of humans. It's still a beautiful dream. And you two are like the embodiment of it. You mean that apocryphal story where Carthage was not destroyed because Romans were greedy for land, but because kindred and kind coexisted there in harmony? It's a pretty deep cut, How long ago were you embraced again? I've been reading a lot to catch up. The inner journalist / former copywriter in me, who still refuses to die. Again, it might as well be a Katerina speaking, sending you to die for her pipe dream, but that's the best option I can think of to get you away from here with a goal in mind. I'm listening. Head for the anarch-free state of California. Look for a man named Giles. Or Giles. Giles. If you're alone, you might have to do a lot to prove yourself. If you're with your friend, you might have to do a little less. If you succeed, will you be able to fight for the noble cause of establishing New Carthage? It's hopeless, but no matter what tough act Kadir is putting on, still better than waiting for Kaiser to act. Might as well give it a shot and then see what's next. Thank you. Don't thank me, you idiot. I'm sending you to the west coast to die just so you're not here to blabber about me to Kaiser, and so that I can please my boss. Now scram! The sun is almost up. Sure, thank you. Nevertheless, even just to piss you off some more. Anything else I should know? Don't exactly how practicing you are, not even Father Leonard knows, but in an hour of peril, keep St. Jude, the patron saint of desperate cases, in mind. I'm not even religious. I mean, really, but in my darkest hours, someone told me to keep him in mind, and maybe I wouldn't be here if he didn't. Yeah, I know of St. Jude. Happy time, his mum used to joke he was a patron saint of her sex life. I see. Hello, Catholic guilt survivor, huh? That classic Eastern European upbringing. I'm not admitting to anything. Stay safe, Catherine. And thank you. See you again someday. Somewhere, Julia. Although, probably not. I wave at her for the first and probably last time and leave the Elysium behind. Hey. She's sitting on the bed. It's obvious she was crying before, but is doing her best to hold up. Where were you? I was, finishing my big investigation. She sniffs. So, how was it? I fucked it up. Big time. Didn't even put up a fight. Don't tell me you expected anything different. I did, actually. You used to be a shining example of an investigative journalist. Maybe I never felt comfortable being an example. The wince on her face proves that got to her. I'm not happy with who I am. Jesus, you're really copying me in every damn respect, aren't you? Fuck you, I'm being serious. I know. I'm trying not to be an asshole. Or rather, trying not to be an asshole. You really are two leeches who got stuck to each other, huh? Like a two-person human centipede loop or something. An Ouroboros or maybe a Mobius strip. I got lost in my own metaphors. Take out another smoke and slowly decide what to say. You're extremely good looking, kind, endlessly energetic. You've got a steady job as an artist and an even steadier influx of cash. Why would you want to be somebody else? You're extremely good looking, clever, talented as fuck, immortal, and eternally young. But you still have that horrible deep well of self-loathing within you for some godforsaken reason, and it fucks me up as much as it does you. Probably. Yeah, I get it, but single white female. It was an impulse. It was the first time I did it, I swear. I didn't know what got into me. That timing was just... Fuck. Maybe I just wanted to see if I could be a better you than you. I don't know. Maybe I need therapy, but I'm tired of looking for the kind of therapy that feels like it works and it's not just brainwashing me. She might be lying. But I don't want to believe she's lying. I choose to believe she's not lying. What do I have to lose? I think I want to give it one more shot. She raises her head. Do you? Yeah, I think I do. There is one condition, though. She shoots me a cold look. What condition? I told you I fucked up my investigation, but not how badly. Well, looks like I'm no longer safe at NYC. I need to run first thing tomorrow evening, and the only way out I see is a bunch of loons living on the west coast who are trying to bring about a utopia where humans and vampires could coexist. It's probably even more dangerous than staying here, to be honest, not to mention how dangerous it could be for you, and I haven't even figured out how we're going to get there safely, but yeah. I'm beyond tired of sitting on my ass, though, collaborating with monsters. This is the first page of the second chapter. This is a lot to take in. I know. But I think I'm in. I know I'm in. You've got a future. You've got rich parents. You don't have to do this. In case you missed it, having rich parents is like a goddamn, I don't know, original sin in my book. I don't want to coast on their money. I want to try doing something that fucking matters. Are you certain? About as certain as I am that the deep state exists? That's good enough for me. I'm off to sleep. The sun is probably already up. I'll pack up your clothes. What for? You planning to unleash Dark Dakota on me again? Don't say anything. As I said, I'm trying not to be an asshole. It's a process. The day went by and I woke up just like any other night. That was the first surprise. Dakota following through with the plan was the second. We're leaving the city. I don't know about her, but I'm kind of hoping it will burn the moment we leave. Fuck all these out-of-touch psychotic assholes who murdered Callahan and partied on his grave all week. Fuck the opportunities who couldn't even seize the moment and do what had to be done. Fuck this temple of Mammon where truth is impossible to find. Fuck the Bronx, fuck Brooklyn, fuck Queens, fuck Staten Island, and fuck Manhattan. Fuck Manhattan in particular. Okay, I'm done. I'm probably going to try and stop at motels. Drink from truckers and hitchhikers and whatever. Exciting. We'll be a pair of serial killers prowling America's highways. Remember Near Dark? That nomadic vampire movie? Of course I do. Is what we're planning to do in the Midwest? Maybe. Maybe not. We'll improvise. It just hit me. Won't the motels and such be closed because of the virus, though? Shit. I don't know. I don't think about that. Maybe I really should have just robbed a bank and paid the circulatory system goons to smuggle us to the west coast. Whatever. It might be fun. Remember, you'll be the one paying for everything. I don't want to expose myself to anything, and I don't want to expose anyone to anything. I've seen enough shit talking online about this exodus of New Yorkers who's probably spreading that thing all around the country right now. Gotcha. We should wash a car, I think, and you'll be disinfecting yourself before any time we touch. Okay, that's just being freaky. And maybe you should wear a mask. Nope. It's the land of the free and the home of the brave. I guess. Hey. Yeah? Do you love me? Of course I do. For now, at least. Still don't know if I love her. Or if I could even love anyone, for that matter. I'm a fucking monster, after all. I don't even know if we'll exist next month. The prospects are not looking good. But although I can't even see myself in the rearview mirror right now, I will remember this image of us leaving the city, somewhat melancholic, somewhat melancholic, and somewhat hopeful forever. Maybe the meaning of this image will be clarified with time, or maybe I will just force a more positive description on it, and that is what I'll believe. No matter what happens, even if oceans of blood lie before us, I will make this a cherished memory. Whatever possible salvation still remains for me probably lies in the eyes of another. Pretty good. Pretty good indeed. Good job, Draw Distance. What a lovely game. Cheers to Alexander Borotsky and the other writers. That's really cool. And I gotta say, the music was also pretty damn good. Just a lovely feel of a game the whole way through. Certainly enjoyed it. Great La Sombre Lady of the Court of France. Oh, cool. It's quite a lot of, like, translations. Like, oh, they're taking specifically the cast and crew of Critical Role in Geek and Sundry. That's... I don't know if the Critical Role team have done anything with Vampire. Oh yeah, they have. They did an LA by Night with Liam, or Liam's Quest, something similar. That's pretty good. You'll notice the load is gone because it deletes the save when you finish, and that's pretty cool. Good job, everybody. We finished it. Bad ending. You have chosen to forfeit the game. I did a little reading on TV tropes. I know what that means. Also, there's the good ending, and we still don't have one. It's listed as bad ending because we became a terrible La Sombra. Come here. Come here. Let me whisper into your ear a little bit. Just a little bit more. Just a little something for you. In the good ending, you submit all of your information. You lay out the truth and you don't let those Camarilla fucks and their one anarch patsy get away with the murder. But you don't unveil the truth, you blackmail them. You blackmail the entire court of members of the anarchs into putting you as the new primogen of the La Sombra. And as a final power play, I insist, Julia, you can't do that with such a big weak point hanging over you. You can't have a human living with you and be so vulnerable to that. And they say it with a smirk and a smile, like it will hold her back and she won't be able to go through with it. But you've been growing more and more harsh. Julia has been falling more and more into the shadows of New York, and the curse of La Sombra has landed heavily on her shoulders, and much like Miss Sawinski, no, not Julia Sawinski, much like they expected the other person to fall into line, you let a role take over you. You become a true La Sombra. And Julia instantly says, without hesitation or regret, to